Olá, meu nome é Rafaela Valim e sejam muito bem-vindos a esse canal! Bom, gente, o vídeo de hoje será como eu consegui os ingressos para conhecer o elenco de WandaVision. Sim, a série Emma Maximoff ainda continuará, mas eu achei legal mostrar um pouco de como será esse evento para vocês. Então, se você gostar desse tipo de conteúdo, já deixa o seu like, se inscreva no canal, comente, compartilhe, não se esqueça de ativar as notificações. Agora, venha comigo! Bom, gente, tudo começou na sexta-feira. Estava mexendo no meu TikTok e acabei vendo uma menina que tinha conseguido os ingressos para participar desse evento. Aí eu falei assim, não, é mentira, né? Ela deve estar mentindo, tudo. Mas, como a curiosidade sempre fala mais alto, eu peguei e entrei nesse site que ela estava falando pelo meu celular. Comecei peguei e me inscrevi a primeira vez, só que a confirmação é pelo e-mail. Os ingressos aparecem lá no e-mail, que você está participando do evento. Quando eu me inscrevi pela primeira vez, eu não recebi esse e-mail. Eu fiquei, gente, meia hora tentando conseguir esse ingresso. Sério. Aí eu falei assim, pelo celular eu acho que não dá, né? Eu vou entrar pelo meu computador. Assim que eu entrei pelo meu computador, eu peguei, me cadastrei novamente. Eu recebi um e-mail. Eu fiquei tudo feliz, né? Nossa, eu vou participar do evento WandaVison. Mas não era o mesmo e-mail da menina do vídeo. Eu falei assim, putz, eu não consegui. Aí peguei e me inscrevi novamente. Quando eu me inscrevi novamente, eu recebi esse e-mail aqui falando que minha participação estava confirmada para o evento. E assim, vai ter muitos atores, o roteirista, todo mundo lá. Só que eu acho que a pessoa que eu mais interessada em conhecer é a Elizabeth Olsen, porque ela interpreta a minha super heroína favorita, que é a Wanda Maximoff. Então imagina como estou me sentindo podendo falar com a pessoa que interpreta ela, né? Eu tô muito feliz que eu consegui esses ingressos. E vou mostrar um pouco da minha felicidade, porque eu gravei uns vídeos na hora. Acabei gravando uns vídeos. Postei no TikTok. E também eu postei como que eu consegui. Porém, tô gravando esse início. Mas eu vou voltar só no dia 25 de maio, que é o dia do evento, se eu não me engano, às 17 horas, aqui no Brasil. Eu acho, gente, eu não tenho certeza. Mas eu vou voltar mostrando pra vocês um pouco do evento, eu fazendo as perguntas para a Elizabeth Olsen, porque praticamente todas as minhas perguntas serão pra ela. Terá outras que serão os outros do elenco, mas a principal será ela. Então, gente, fique comigo até o final desse vídeo, porque agora eu só vou voltar no dia do evento. Gente, estamos aqui no dia do evento e vou gravar tudo para vocês. Estou muito ansiosa, ainda não começou, falta alguns minutos. Tá passando uma propaganda, tudo, e vocês vão acompanhar comigo alguns pedaços do evento, ou o evento inteiro, ainda não sei. Depois que acabar eu vou editar e eu vejo como vai ser, tá bom? Espero que vocês gostem. Se vocês gostarem, não se esqueça de deixar seu like, porque, nossa, é um sonho conhecer Elizabeth Olsen e os outros integrantes do elenco de WandaVision, como eu falei antes. E arrumando um trecho que eu falei no vídeo, que o evento ia começar às 5, às 17, né? Na verdade não, o evento vai começar às 9 da noite. E eu acho que vai até umas 10h30, por aí, eu não sei ainda. Espero que vai, né? Porque é isso aí, gente. Eu vou esperar começar. Assim que começar, eu volto a gravar aqui pra vocês. Bom, gente, infelizmente eu não consegui gravar muito minha reação, porque acabei passando muito nervoso com esse evento. Mas vou deixar o evento aqui pra vocês, né? Na hora que eu conseguir entrar. Que vocês viram que eu tava no evento. Na hora que começou, o site me tirou. E eu demorei pra entrar. Então eu vou deixar a parte que a parte que eu consegui gravar aqui pra vocês. Espero que gostem.
Retreat back to the family nucleus, whatever that means to them. But the other thing about women's power is you can't tell a story about a couple of witches and not talk about female mystery and empowerment. And I think it's fun to get to play witches and for the Scarlet Witch to finally become the Scarlet Witch and not just kind of the science experiment that this was her fate.
Absolutely. I love that idea too, that yes, this was her fate. This was who she was always meant to become. It just, unfortunately took a lot of trauma, but it also just took a lot of things for her to get there. Yes, we do wish this was an easier road for Wanda. Unfortunately, it's not where we're at. This series, though, kicks off in the 50s with that homage to the Dick Van Dyke Show and other series of that era. You guys had this incredible live audience. What is the scene that you'll remember most from that taping, Elizabeth?
Oh gosh, it's a fast memory. Paul slipped like a banana peel fall, and he was running back and forth between the two rooms with the slide between the kitchen and the living room with the push through door, and totally slipped as like legs up, just banana peel, like it was a cartoon, and the entire audience started laughing, thinking that it was all planned, and he totally hurt his ankle. But that's what really stuck out to me, because it was so live, and the audience really felt like they were with us, and that's why they enjoyed that moment.
We find out that not only was Wanda someone who retreated into sitcoms as a way of, bonding with her family, and then therefore having this catharsis as she was watching them after in the Avengers compound, that in particular, that walnut episode was really important. So I'd love to talk to you guys kind of about the Easter eggs and the incredibly detailed storytelling that went into that. Matt, you were actually the first person to mention the walnut episode to me in a previous interview. So I would love to know, the building of this world and the building of these homages and how you guys really narrowed them down.
Well, that's one of the great episodes of television. And so it's worthy of being honored, the Walnut episode. But it's also the episode of Dick Van Dyke that goes the craziest. And in a way, it's the closest to WandaVision, right? Because we have our moments within WandaVision where the sitcom is derailed by the Twilight Zone, or sort of Get Out moments where what is underneath is starting to percolate through. So the Walnut episode was a great touchstone. It was something that the writers' room gravitated to, Jack and team, early on, because it is this really special episode that goes to a pretty crazy place. I think all of the shows that we referenced are timely and timeless. They were really popular in their era, but somehow they've managed to remain relevant and resonant throughout time. And the Dick Van Dyke Show is still as funny now as it was back then. So these particular reference points were these shows that just had stood the test of time, and they were also family shows. They were shows that represented this strong family dynamic, this place where you could take refuge with your loved ones, which is what Wanda obviously wants. So we didn't do Taxi, we didn't do The Office. We stuck around with shows that were about family and were about what Wanda was looking for. And we needed to recreate them perfectly, because Wanda is, sort of the wielder of chaos magic, which is the power of creation. She can create things out of whole cloth. So the sitcom she was going to create was going to be perfect down to every last detail. So we didn't want to, get on the bad side of the Scarlet Witch. So we had to work really hard to make that happen.
Well, we have a look here at episode 1, kind of one of those true sitcom setups, the early misunderstandings between Wanda and Vision. Take a look.
Wanda, is there something special about today?
Well, I know the apron is a bit much, dear, but I am doing my best to blend in.
No, there on the calendar, someone's drawn a little heart right above today's date.
Oh, yes, the heart. Well, don't tell me you have forgotten, Viz.
Forgotten? Oh, Wanda, I'm incapable of forgetfulness. I remember everything. That's not an exaggeration. In fact, I'm incapable of exaggeration.
Well, then tell me what's so important about today's date.
What was the question again? Oh, well, perhaps you've forgotten yourself.
Gee, heavens no. I've been so looking forward to it.
As have I. Today, we are celebrating.
You bet we are. It's the first time we have ever celebrated this occasion before.
It's a special day.
Perhaps an evening.
Great significance.
To us both.
Naturally.
Obviously.
Exactly. Well done us.
When it comes to an episode like that, Jack, and you guys are trying to kind of figure out how are we going to set up this world of Wanda and Vision and also find these like kind of epic cadences that we're going to kind of play with in the 1950s setup. What were some of the keys to getting that right? And what do you remember about the tape day?
Yeah, the tape day was like, oh my gosh. I mean, that was just like heaven. That it was like everything coming together in this incredible way. And the set looked so bananas because it was painted in such a way. You know, Matt and the department heads were Mark Worthington, production designer, were so clever, and Tara DeMarco with the visual effects and knowing that Vision had to be blue in order to look the right level of red in the black and white world. So like all of that, it was very surreal and really thrilling. And like, I just felt like my head was spinning around the entire time. And it was such a dream for the longest time. Producer Mary Lavanos and I, in the room, we were like, can we do it? You know, in front of a live studio audience. And then when Matt came on, he was like, yeah. And we were like, yeah, what he said, we're going to do this. So that was really, really epic. You know, writing the pilot was really terrifying. We had plotted the whole season, like we knew what it was going to be, like all of the complicated stuff for the most part felt like the mythology felt like it was kind of worked out. And then when I went to write the pilot, I was like, oh no, I have to write a perfect episode of the Dick Van Dyke Show. How does one do that? So it was the writer's room really came to my rescue. It was actually our writer's assistant, Clay LaPerry, who came up with the heart misunderstanding, because I was like, in these shows, isn't there like a misunderstanding? Isn't that how this stuff works? And he was like, heart, you know, heart, and then their name is Heart. And I was like, yes, thank goodness you're here. So it was deceptively hard to put together. The people who made those shows were at the top of their game. They were the best at what they did. And then, you know, I was lucky enough that I knew that I had a team full of people who would make it sing in such a transcendent way.
Bom, gente, esse foi o vídeo de hoje. Espero que tenham gostado. Se gostou, deixe o seu like, se inscreva no canal, comente, compartilhe e não se esqueça de ativar as notificações. Um beijo e até o próximo vídeo. Tchau!